Hey, you fish freaks, welcome to podcast episode number 83 of the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed, brought to you by the Wendell Fishing channel. If you guys have not yet seen it, if you're listening in from the podcast, check it out at wendellfishing.com or everything about the podcast at kayakfishingobsessed.com. Just built out a couple websites over the last month. So excited those are now launched. But all that aside, usually I do like a longer intro. I'm just going to bring Creek, welcome to the show, man. Forget the long intro. Bringing the juice.
Get right to the good stuff.
I know the good stuff. Hey, man, it's been a minute since we last spoken. So thanks for hopping on again.
Yeah, man, good to talk to you. I've seen you a couple times at some stuff. We usually don't have a lot of time to talk at those events, but yeah,
you know what?
Good to chat.
It's a crying shame. I don't know. I mean, this is why I'm excited. And I talked about it last week on the show. Well, when I was on with Alex Rudd, the Kayak Adventure Series. You going to be any of those this year?
I don't even know what's going on. So the two-man team one.
Well, they got
Kayak Adventure Series.
Yeah,
I was confused. I am planning to go to Florida in February.
Florida. So, that didn't sound anything like near me. You coming up north at all for any of these?
I will look. I want to. I'll usually do at least 2 or 3 kind of big kayak tournaments. And I've done the Susquehanna one with Bass Nation. That's last 2 years, but I know there's a couple up your way. I want to try. If it's somewhere new, I'll try to go somewhere different.
Okay,
if it ain't too far away.
You like
even if it is, I don't know. If it all depends on if it works out. Like a lot of times, I do. I'm over at Children's Church at my church, so there's only so many Sundays I can really miss being over that and stuff. So that holds me back a little bit. But I'll pick out the ones I can kind of get out there.
Look at you serving with the kids at church. That's awesome. Priorities, folks. Yeah. I like that. I was a youth pastor for a long time, so I'm professionally trained in out of college, and so I know that world. Kids are fun.
Yeah,
kids are fun. All right, so if you come up this way, let me know. I'm 2 hours from 2 of the tournaments. So I'm definitely doing those 2, but I've been goofing around with the idea of heading down to ICAST this year for the first time. And so looking forward to putting that on my calendar. I think I'll be going as media. I don't necessarily think I want to be sitting at a booth, even though I got some ways in that way. I want to sit at a booth I want to go around myself, talk to people myself. So should be good. Yeah. Last time we actually saw each other was at the last Knucklehead. I don't think the year before we did actually a recap on that. We didn't this year. So, and I had you on a show then. I had you on a show 2 years ago. So here we are again. We're going to be talking about Kayak Creek fishing and proven strategies that you've seen for success in that. So excited about that. But how in the world did you just post a springtime creek fishing video yesterday?
I'm glad I had that because I have like no fishing content right now. But
is that over a year old?
that was from like March or April, I think. So somehow I just stuck it away. I think I had a bunch of trips in a row, so I'd didn't edit it, and I saved it in a file to edit, and I planned to delete it, but I'm like, I'll just save that. I might turn that into a video, and I forgot that I thought it was like a slow day. I couldn't remember what happened, so I was like, I gotta have something. I looked in my my little savings where I have all my video stuff. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm editing that because I got nothing else. It's so fun to go back in the springtime and you catch 10 fish. And you're like, oh, it's a slow day. In the wintertime, you're trying to catch 2 fish,
I didn't actually get a chance to watch it, but I was like, what in the world? You're pulling from the archives.
Yeah. So I was getting desperate. Yep.
So do you have a rhythm on how you post, or is this kind of do you have it all? I know some guys probably I have the entire year scheduled out. I know exactly what I'm doing. Or are you more of a fly by the seat of your pants, and when you have the opportunity to edit, and how's that work for you?
Yeah, I do everything fly by the seat of my pants. I just bought this house. I decided a month before I bought it that I was going to look for a house, and just you know what, I'm ready to buy a house. Just boom, and then within a month I'd bought a house. But I try, my goal is 3 videos a week, and just as whatever order they come out at, I try to keep them within a couple weeks. I like to save up a couple videos if I can, but
Mhm.
like I don't edit out videos ahead. That just takes too much time. So like when I edit a video, it's for that week, or maybe I'll have one video ahead. If I'm going on a trip, I'll try to like edit a couple videos ahead. But usually I edit a video, post it that day or the next day, and then go fish, and then edit another video for 2 days later. And yeah, so just however I can get it out there. I don't enjoy sitting down and editing a lot, so it's hard to get ahead editing wise.
Do you do a lot of uncut videos because of that?
I've done some, and people do enjoy sometimes longer videos, and I've been learning more about that. I've been taking videos, like 5 or 6 videos, and putting them together and making like a 2-hour long video.
How's that working for you? Because I'm curious, because I
Mm.
always like, okay, I see some of these videos, they pop up, and of course you see the little timestamp in the bottom right-hand corner of videos to see what am I getting myself into. And I'm like, oh, this got massive views. And I look at it, it's like 3.5 hours uncut fishing. It's like, are people literally watching this the entire time?
YouTube thinks they are, because I've made more money off those than I do off my regular videos by far.
Well, folks, get ready for Wendell Fishing uncut videos this upcoming summer and spring, nonstop live. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
My goodness. All right.
I have a couple. I don't usually do a lot of uncut unless I'm waiting, because it's like more constant action. If you're out in the lake, it's hard to do uncut because there's not a lot. But if there's something to keep people's attention, you could be talking. If you're just talking through your whole time, you can make it. I mean, you could go out and make 2 hours just talking about everything that's going on. Somebody's going to watch it, and YouTube pushes those longer videos to more people. So they want people sitting on there watching 2 hours straight.
I'm curious if you're listening in right now, and we got a bunch of people listening in. Let me know. Do you prefer a more concise video, or do you like the uncut kind of narration of what's happening, kind of the play-by-play? I'm curious because I've only done a few of the play-by-play, and I have some people who are like, do more of those. I was like, all right, it doesn't really come naturally, but I'm curious. So I might be doing some uncut, but you're right. It's difficult, like in a kayak, just kind of pedaling around the lake. I can see why it'd be a little bit more interesting as you're walking through, trudging, going over top of things, moving from spot to spot. All right. Yeah, Southwest India Outdoor says, check out Kayak Catfish. He does a ton of videos that are 4 hours and gets a lot of views. He does probably the best job at talking to a camera that I've seen, though. All right. Yeah, that's a talent you got to you have to continue to hone. You almost got to even do it when no one's watching, right? Just to kind of go through the motions of always what you're thinking, just saying those out loud. Calvin Johnson says, I like the uncut stuff. I like it. Well, I wanted to first kick off our show because I recently saw, well, first I want to ask a question. How's the Whatever's Biting podcast coming along?
Well, we made it a year. So we just did our 13th episode. We just do once a month.
Okay. Was the plan once a month?
We're not cranking them out. It's once a month, and then it's kind of cool because we always talk about our most recent fishing, like what is going on right away, like that day, what I catch that day, or my last fishing trip. So it's kind of interesting. I like hearing Ethan's take on what he's been able to catch, and I get to tell some stories of what I saw this week, or what I ran into. Sometimes things that really you don't see on videos, and also just like maybe the last fish I caught was a bluegill, or was it a bass, and we try to do a little bit of updates from like panfish world, when people catch a state record or different panfish and guess sizes, stuff like that. So it's kind of fun. I'm not good. I was going to try to do more lives and more live streams, but I'm not good at just driving the conversation, I guess. Like,
it's work.
Not like you. Yeah, it's work. That's not my thing that I want to put my effort into. I'd rather just try to make my videos, and do my YouTube that way.
Yeah, you lean into what you're good at. Have you noticed any? Oh, that's one thing I've noticed. It's natural to me because I'm a professional fundraiser as like my real job, my 9 to 5. And so I hold portfolios about 150 accounts of some of the wealthiest people on the planet. And so it's my job to enter into conversation with them. And sometimes they're chatty Cathy's. Other times I have to drive. And so I I know when to turn it on. I know when to turn it off. And so it just becomes something that's natural to me. So being a podcast host feels very natural, and there's a little bit of prep time work to it. But I'm curious because you do this with mule fishing, Ethan. I'm getting ready to have him on in a few weeks. I'm excited to see what he's been doing with mule fishing supply. Do you guys do the same thing, or is he primarily fishing from kayak? Are you guys doing like, what are the nuances between both your styles of fishing?
Yeah, so he fished in college, bass fished at like Kansas State or somewhere. I can't remember where. But he came from like bass fishing to basically all like mostly ultralight pan fishing from bank and kayak. He doesn't really do tournaments. He spends a lot of time with his family, and he has whatever his full-time job he really likes. Like he loves his full-time job. So he doesn't have near as much time to fish as like I do. Obviously, this is all I do. And so yeah, he's like more perfectionist, and like when he learns something, he learns all about it. He knows, details. Where I'm kind of just like, fishing this, fishing that, fishing that. I like just a lot of fishing, but we both enjoy just catching anything we can catch.
Yeah.
Obviously, that whatever's biting, and that's the thing is like there's a lot of people out there that just like catching something. They just want to catch something, and if they find out that how to work an ultralight or BFS setup or this or that, if it leads to just catching more fish, whatever that fish, that's what they enjoy doing. And there's so many ways to catch fish and so many fish to fish after. That's kind of interests me, just all the variety of that's out there to do.
What has been your favorite guest? Now you've had 14 of them on. Which individual has been the most enlightening? You're like, whoa, I actually pulled a bunch of nuggets out of that one.
Well, we've only had like 2 guests.
Oh, it's usually just you two.
Yeah, it's mainly us, just kind of because we don't have it set. We just record it whenever we can, so it's very random. And
right.
we had it was fun having the aggressive average anglers on. That was that's
a good time.
Best video, and just nonstop. You don't have to. Somebody's going to be talking. So
somebody's going to be talking. That is 100%, 100% true. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, I wanted to hop in a little bit because you and Nathan just released the Bluegrass Bug. And so I'm going to show this video. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and everyone listening in will be able to hear it as well. Share this bad boy. Let's get this thing playing. All right. Let me go ahead and turn this background banner off. No one can really see it. Here we go.
Introducing the Bluegrass Bug. Hi, I'm Ethan with Mule Fishing, and I've been working with John Dalton from the Creek Fishing for some time now to design this little bait right here. Just like all other mule fishing plastics, this is going to be a high stretch, high durability material, and it truly is designed for multi-species fishing. This is to the market, not anything like it in the mule fishing lineup. So this is going to definitely attract some of those larger bites. It's definitely going to be a great bass bait. Think about a Ned rig. Think about a little drop shot, a little Texas rig, shaky head, so on and so forth. This is designed to be utility bait. On each side, so there's 8. They've got a lot of crustaceans, small bait fish, and it's going to be a great, effective way to catch fish all year long. Creek fishing adventures, obviously, I think this is going to be great for creeks, rivers, streams. I'm very much excited to do that personally. Like I said, it's truly meant to be versatile. My personal favorite way to use it so far has been on a 3/32 ounce mule jig. Because this is highly buoyant, that little bit larger size jig with a number 4 hook pairs up nicely with it, and it allows it to stand up on the bottom, but it still features a slow rate of fall. So all that being said, I am so excited to fish with these more. We've been testing them. They have effectively worked for, I don't even know how many species yet, numerous species of sunfish / panfish, several bass, catfish, the list goes on, peacock bass even, which is kind of cool. It's been a really cool bait so far, and I cannot wait to see what you catch. These are now available at www.mulefishing.com. And like I said, this was a partnership with John Dalton. So when you purchase these, that helps his channel as well, which I am really excited about because he is a great guy and he deserves every bit of it. Thank you so much.
Oh, such a great guy. Look at you.
Sure.
So tell me about the inspiration behind this partnership.
Yeah.
There it is, man.
You can see how thick it is, and it's like a Ned ray. It's 2 inches, but it's like solid, thick all the way around. But I don't know. I like I like catching. I bass fish a lot in creeks and streams, but I like lures that kind of will catch a little bit of everything. And then I bet 3 years ago, I kind of drew this up on a piece of paper. I was like, I just want a little lure like that. It's real simple, easy, looks like a little bug, and very, very simple that can catch, little bass to big bass, and catch all kinds of stuff. And sorry, Ethan asked if I'd be interested in making some kind of lure, and I was like, yep, and I already have one I want to make. And
I already drew it up 2 years ago.
Yeah, so no one's ever asked me like, do you want to design something? So yeah, so we that started in January, and now it's been a year, and it just now came out. I've already caught smallmouth, spots, largemouth, peacock bass, Swanee bass, a couple different other fish on it, and it's a bass, more of a bass lure, but it's like, it's more for my size. Like it'll just catch everything, all of them, and
catch all lure.
Plus bugs and creatures. Almost everything that swims likes a bug or creature type of lure. And so those always have worked well. Any kind of little bug, like a helgramite or like a creature bait or crawdad thing, almost everything is going to eat those. And the size on this is a little smaller than a lot of other lures out there. So I felt like it'd be neat to make, and I think it's going to work really well for whoever uses it.
When you were scratching this down on a piece of paper, like what was the inspiration for that? Because I just don't sit around and be like, oh, this is exactly what I want. And so did you come home one day, you're like, hey, I need this married with this to equal this? What were you thinking? Where's your brain space?
Actually, I thought it was going to turn out a little smaller. So when you're writing it down, it's hard to know what it's going to come out to be. And we weren't able to just send off for like a bunch of different, models. So, but I love the way it turned out, and there may be a future one in the, that's a little smaller and thinner. But I just drew basically the outline of that, and I was like, this is very easy, very simple, and I like things that are simple. I fish a lot with a yum dinger, 4-inch yum dinger. So I like it's so simple and easy, and it just works. Things that most of the time, not trying to overdo it or overkill it. And I never saw anything else like there. I found a lure now that actually someone said that there's another one that looks similar to that. I think it's smaller, but I never seen anything like that. And I was like, I just want something like this that's real similar. And I think it'll, I know it works for bass, because I see bass. I watch in my streams, all clear water stuff mostly. So like I watch fish eat things, and I see how they react. And like a little bug like that, just kind of falling in there, is just something natural that they're just going to go, oh, I'm going to eat that.
So even with the net head on there, it's still doing a slow rate of fall because of that. I think it's called TPE material. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is 1/16 ounce. I'm not sure what the material is called, but
stretchy. It's called stretchy material.
Yeah, it's pretty buoyant, and I like light. I might have to go a little heavier because this thing is kind of small and lightweight, so it's kind of hard to cast. You're not going to be able to just bomb it. But the way I fish, I'm not casting really far anyways. It's more about accuracy in the creeks, or getting it into the current. Like this thing in the spring, I can't wait when, like, as soon as the fish start to eat, they get up in the current in the spring, and you throw this in there, just let it tumble like you would be trout fishing, and they're gonna eat that easy.
Nice. So did you have a say in the colors? Was there a method to the madness behind the colors?
Yeah, this is my color. It's called Creek Water. I wanted like a blue, like that blue water look for clear water.
Okay.
I don't know what actually works better or not, but I just thought, I was like, I love that it kind of blends in. It's not as I don't know. It just looks different. And then there's 6 other colors. Black obviously is probably my favorite.
Right.
I like a good dark black bug lure. And then we have a pink one, it's a pink and orange.
Oh, okay.
I love that color and the Yumdinger and stuff. And there's so there's 6 different colors of them. The pink and then this color kind of were my additions to it.
The creek crawler says, John, you better be posted up like Captain Morgan photo on the front of that. Let me see the packaging. Show everybody.
Well, we didn't.
I'm about to give you a boo. Come on, we want to see your mug on that package.
Yeah,
like as cheesy as you could possibly get. Come on.
Tell Ethan, he needs to get a better, get a better distributor.
I'm not buying it.
The thing is, like working, he's working. We're not like Booyah here can just do anything. So there is some limits to some of the things, and adding certain things would cost a lot more. But we probably are going to get a sticker in the future after we sell some more, and I'm sure they'll get some tweaking done to it.
Heck yeah!
But
I'm not buying one until I see the cheesiest grin with.
Look at this.
There you go. Something just like over the top, like on purpose. I would like it.
Yeah.
Love it. The comment section right now. It's cracking me up. All right. So how many times have you been able to throw this thing? It's called the Bluegrass Bug, right? So if you go to mulefishing.com, Bluegrass Bug is what they're calling
I call it a Bluegrass Bug. When I first started fishing creeks, I lived in Kentucky, and that's what really got me driving. That's what my interest and all my passion came from when I was up to 10 years old, fishing some little streams and creeks, and that kind of stuff's always stayed with me. But you can look it up on Mule Fishing website. What was the question? I forgot now.
I don't even know. I don't even know what the question was. I just asked them and I forget about them, and hopefully you remember them. I love it. I was asking how many times have you thrown it? Yeah, because you've got a bunch.
So I took it out January 1st. And caught 2 bass in this creek. I was just messing around. I didn't think anything would bite. It was freezing cold, and I was just messing around. I caught a spotted bass and a largemouth. It was pretty decent sized bass. I was like, wow. I took it to Florida and caught a peacock bass and some largemouth bass. I fished it in rivers by me in the fall right before it got cold.
Okay.
And I watched the fish. It's super clear water. And I caught a bunch of fish on it, spots and largemouth in this river by me. A couple of smallmouth, I think, too. But, I love watching fish react to a lure. And you throw that thing in there, and I saw so many fish have to come up and look at it. Even ones that didn't bite, they come up to, like what is that? That looks like something that I should eat. So the attention in clear water that this lure gets is pretty interesting.
So when you're watching these bass hits the water, they zoom up, and they're, right in front of it. How do you entice them then to commit?
If I can get it, if there's some current and I can get it to roll on the current,
floor,
that's a natural thing. That just that lure just kind of kicks up and it's just kind of tumbling. And if I can get it to roll or just kind of move a little bit, a fisher a lot of times they'll just pick it up before it leaves their area. And so a lot of times it's real soft. So I don't know. I see a lot of fish eat them, but they'll eat it and you won't even know they're on there. And if it's in clear water, I'll just set the hook before I even feel it.
Yeah. And that makes sense, right? Typically when a bug is rolling down the current, they lost their footing, right? They got kicked out from a rock or whatever it is, and they're tumbling down the bottom. So that makes sense to me. All right. So you want to get that thing to the bottom typically as fast as you can so it starts rolling.
It depends. I mean, sometimes they're going to hit it right away. But yeah, they tend to. I see a lot of fish eat things like that off the bottom. So whether they think it's a crawdad or a bug or something that fell out of a tree, and but it's mainly about that natural flow where if you're pulling it with your line this way, and sometimes they're just going to hit it no matter what. But if they're being a little picky, they're like something's not right. Obviously, if you have trout fish or fly fish, that you have to get that drift right. Well, bass eat the same way in streams and creeks and stuff too, where they want it kind of tumbling in front of them. Sometimes I've made several casts, and sometimes you got to make the cast further upstream to get it to the bottom to tumble before it gets to them, where it's just tumbling along normally, and like leave your line slack where your line's not making it kind of not have a natural rate of fall.
Okay, there you go. There's all kinds of tips and tricks you can pull from that. Now, you've just been specifically talking about fishing this in moving water. Have you fished it in like ponds with the peacock bass and stuff like that? Is that how you pulled those out in Florida?
The peacock bass, I was twitching it.
Okay.
And I had thrown like 3 different lures in this little area. It was actually current there too, but I threw like 3 different lures, didn't get a bite. I put that on first cast. This peacock bass came out of nowhere and nailed it. So I was like, wow, that's the kind of things I love to prove to myself whenever I use different lures. Like you change to something and you immediately get a response. It's like, okay, you can, it clicks something in your, you remember those things and you learn from it. But I fished it in a lake on a tournament Saturday. I caught 2 fish on it.
Okay.
I only caught 4 fish that day. It was horrible.
Oh, what was the tournament?
It was my local group, Tin Cat, Tennessee Kayak Anglers tournament, and we had 30 people. I got 13th out of 30. With 30, we only do 3 fish. I had 38 inches and 3 fish. So it was like a 12, a 13, and a 13 something.
Hey, you know what? A lot of people did a lot worse. Sounds like. Yeah. Tough fishing. Yeah. Do you do a lot of tournament angling?
Our local trail does once a month, and I try to do those if I'm around. And then I might do them one or other, but once a month is probably the most I do.
Okay. All right. And then you try to do a few big ones a year.
Yeah. And then I'll try to do 2 to 4, 2-day ones.
Do you have those planned out this year?
The only one I got planned out is the Kayak Adventure Series in February. Yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything set, and I usually don't set anything permanently till it's within 2 months or something. So
oh, really?
I'm not a planner. I don't plan hardly anything. I don't even know what I do. I have no idea what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Something's gonna happen. I might put together some kind of plan, but
I just started sweating thinking about it. I am a planner, and so I don't know that world. I want to live your life. Right? I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but it's likely fishing. That right there, folks, living the dream.
This is the hardest part about doing YouTube for me, because it's like I used to get up, know what time I had to be at work every day, and I like that. Now making myself do it, it's really hard for myself to just have a set unless I'm meeting somebody or have a tournament or something to go to. I have to be there that time.
I like it. The creek crawler just chimed in. Controlled chaos, Wendell. You wouldn't understand. Oh man, I feel like I'm on the outside of this. Outside this group now.
Okay.
I'm not even going to show up to work tomorrow. So I'll show you, creek crawler. What's up? Oh my gosh. I needed tonight, by the way. My freaking day at work was wild. I was like, you know what? I just need to chill, relax, talk some fishing with John. And this is by all means therapy on a lot of different levels for me. I know a lot of people out there as well. Now, we haven't talked about this a whole lot. Now, I'm curious, what type of kayak do you run? Now, I know you like wade fishing, but I also see you a lot in a kayak. So run me through your rig. I'm pretty sure you're a minimalist, I'm guessing. Well, I mean, in general, typically creek anglers are. But walk me through what you got. Do you have multiple kayaks? What's your favorite? What do you run?
Yeah, I got 6 kayaks right now.
You're not kidding.
If I'm doing a float trip tomorrow, something where it's just you're just getting in and we're taking out, one way. I'm gonna take my Old Town Topwater 120.
Okay.
It's just paddle only, and it's very comfortable. It's very comfortable, very solid. Easy to kind of. It weighs 87 pounds. It's 12-foot kayak, but
it's not light. It's not super heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great where it's a good range. But for I'm 6'4", 230. I've been on some smaller kayak, like 10-footers, that I feel too cramped or feel too small. So I usually have to get around that size. And so I'm going to take 3 fishing rods, 1 bag of lures, a bag of food.
Oh, really? You just 1 bag of lures. You're like, I'm going to dial this bag of lures out. That's it.
Well, I like to go through them and pick what I want, but I'm like, if I'm going tomorrow, I mean, I don't know what's biting, but say I'm probably going to take a spinnerbait rod once it hits spring anyways. A spinning rod with like a hellgrammite or bluegrass bug now,
There
or
you go.
yumdinger, something like that. And then maybe a topwater rod or one other rod for whatever else I think might work. Grab a few lures you need, and most of the time you're not changing a lot. I mean, most of the time I use the 3 lures tied on, and that's what I stay with all day, unless something goes really bad and I just can't get a bite.
All right, and a bag of food. That's it.
Yeah, I got a new little cooler now. It's like a little slim, cheap cooler, so I got to have my drinks and food.
I love it. Straight up minimalist. Okay, that's one of your 6 kayaks. That's your go-to for your floats.
Yeah.
What are your other 6? Other 5.
So the one I took out Saturday for the tournament was a Old Town PDL 120.
Okay, so you're lake fishing on that then.
And that's my first good kayak I ever got, the pedal drive, and I've used it so many times. And I rigged up a motor for the back, but I haven't registered the kayak, so I couldn't use the motor in the tournament.
What motor did you get?
I was just messing around, and but that's the one I'd use for tournaments, and I'll take maybe 6 rods if I'm feeling like I'm taking a lot. I took 4 in the tournament, last tournament, but just a little bit more. I try not to take a ton of stuff. I like to throw it in the back of the truck, slide it out, throw it in the water, throw my stuff in, take off and go. Also, I usually get to the tournaments, 30 minutes to an hour late, so I don't think you can handle that either.
I couldn't. You're literally stressing me out right now.
But
oh my gosh!
So I have a RVR, the Bonafide RVR. I really like. I got a Newport motor on it, but it's been messed up, and they sent me the part that's supposed to fix it, but I haven't took it out for like a month, so it's like it's been too cold to go try it out. But one of these days, I'm going to try it out and make sure the motor works again.
Motor?
That was really fun.
So you got 2 motors. You got one on your Old Town. You said it was.
No, it's just pedal drive. Oh, I had a what's it called? Like a boat motor, like a 30-pound thrust.
Got it. Okay.
Trolling motor. I just rigged it up I was messing around. I'm just trying it out. And then I have what's the other one?
What was your Newport? Was that a 180 Pro or
180 Pro?
Okay.
I used it on the Susquehanna when I did that tournament. It was amazing being able to have that thing out there.
It changes the game when you put a stern mounted motor on your pedal drive. It is just like it really truly is amazing. It's one of the best decisions.
Especially if you're fishing, if you like fishing current, because it just opens up what you can do, and you just don't kill yourself and wear yourself out. But yeah, I was running upstream like it was nothing. Well, that's what everybody does now, but I'm late to the game. But it really is crazy how I think the motor is your biggest advantage in kayak fishing by far, of something you can add to your kayak that will help you if you're tournament fishing, but also just because you just access so many more places and do so much more without even thinking about it with little effort. But I have a Crescent Shoaly. That's the fastest kayak. If you want one for
RVR and Shoaly, look at you, man.
Yeah. What's the other one I have?
You said it's the fastest kayak. Okay. When do you break?
If you just want one to paddle, like you're paddling, it thing will just fly. It's a little unstable for me. It's fine. I have to get used to it. Like once I get in and get used to it, I'm fine. But like that's why I like the Old Town. I just feel a little more comfortable overall in it. But they're about the same. They're pretty close to the same. The RVR, the Old Town, Topwater, and the Shoaly are all really similar kayaks. All great river kayaks or creek kayaks. And I just bought a NRS inflatable.
Which one?
106. CUDA 106, I think it is.
Okay.
Haven't inflated it yet, but I got it on sale. And I was like, I have a bunch of ideas that I'm going to use it for like wading trips where I can just drag it behind me. Right. Carry some gear and also like get through some deep holes. Because a lot of creeks I fish are real shallow. Like you just walk a lot of them, but there's some deep holes to get through. And then I got a couple places that are like swampy that I really want to try. And I think it might help me out. Plus it only weighs 26 pounds. That's what it says. So I can like just throw that thing or just, if I have to carry it into somewhere, I can carry it into something. So I haven't been on it yet, but I'll be trying it out as soon as it warms up.
Yeah, I got myself a inflatable for the first time, and it's hard to. You have to have a very specific use for it. I think inflatables are really great for people who live like in apartments and so forth. We really have some, storage issues, or you don't have a truck and you have a little car and you got to throw it in the back of the, your Honda hatchback or whatever it is. Or in your scenario, you want something that you can drag over something really shallow and it's super lightweight. That makes sense to me. Oh, did you get a good deal on it?
It was like $700.
That's
like a $1,100.
They're expensive. The crazy thing is how they're built is wild. You'd be like, inflatable kayak for $700. That cross stitch, you tap on it and it feels like a rock. It's really impressive.
I like trying the Old Town kayak. A couple of kayaks I bought, a couple I've gotten for free, but I like just trying as many different things as I can. And my plan this next year is to try as many more kayaks. Oh, I also bought a Jackson Bite. I got it from my neighbor or guy down the road for $500. He's like, "You want to buy it?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to buy it just to try it and use it, and I might try selling it later or something like that." And that's a
more than $500.
Good, solid kayak. Like it's not my favorite, but man, it is very useful. If somebody's looking for just a simple, plain, probably about as cheap as you can get, it's like $1,100 brand new. That's a really nice kayak.
Nice. So you have like 7 kayaks. Where do you put all these things? Do you have
laying beside the house over there?
Oh, they're outside.
I want to build something. I have a garage now, so I want to build something to put stack 3 of them and roll them around. But I just haven't got to that yet.
Okay. Yeah. You just got a new house, a new background. I wonder where the basketball hoop was.
It'll get hung up soon.
I love it. So I got a couple questions for you. What are the number one questions you get as an angler around creek fishing?
Where's that creek at?
Oh,
that's the most popular question I get because people
really.
But I mean, it is hard to find places. Like if you are like a creek guy, Brian knows what I'm talking about, the creek crawler. Like finding these little places, it takes a lot of work and effort, and a lot of times, a lot of driving or searching on maps and different things. So finding just the easy accesses, where are public, or I know that I'm allowed to get in there, is it's harder than just driving to the boat ramp at a lake. So a lot of people, they see a creek and they see you go down it, like, man, that looks amazing. Where's that at? I want to go there.
I mean, I always tell people ask me that question all the time. Hey, where are you fishing? I was like, I share everything I know except where I'm fishing. Everything except the spot. Do you actually share with people?
It depends on the size of the river and how popular it is.
Gotcha.
So there's a time that I've been like, somebody's like got me and like brought me to their place.
Right.
Like, don't share this.
There's a code. Right.
It could be a public place, but it's usually a smaller spot. And there's places that I found myself that I'm like, I'm not telling anybody where this is because it's not trespassing, but it's on somebody's property. But I know that they allow people to do it. So that sometimes it's things like that, but they might go there and get in trouble, or, they might. So I'm not going to tell you to do something like that. And a lot of times it's just smaller streams that I've had to work years to find or whatever. And I'm like, no, and even if I told you, you probably still wouldn't be able to find the accesses, but
right.
And a lot of times it's people, I'll get messages from people like, I can't find any places around me. And they tell me where they live. I'm like, dude, you got more places around you than I got around me.
Right.
Or they don't want to drive more than 20 minutes. Like if anybody in Tennessee, except for way out in West Tennessee, within 30 minutes of their house, there's a lake or a creek. And if you go within an hour, there's just so many places. Georgia, same way, Alabama, Kentucky, all these. There's a lot of spots. You might have to drive an hour, but that's part of it. You got to drive to go find the good places.
Yeah. So what's and I believe we talked about it, but it might have been 2 years ago. What is how do you identify these places? Do you have apps that you like to use? I mean, we're not giving away the spots. We're just showing you how, if you wanted to source it, the easiest way, and how Creek does this is he ...
Mainly Google Earth. I'll just be scrolling Google Earth and then just traveling. when I travel, say I come up to a tournament up in your area.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to drive over 10 different creeks that I'm probably going to mark on my maps. And I'm going to look at it and be like, oh, that looks pretty good size, or that looks this. Let me mark that. And maybe I'll pull over on the side of the road and do a little research, scouting it out. Maybe I'll pull over and fish it right away. I do that all the time too. I'll just be driving somewhere and pull over, see if there's access. Is there a place where people are pulling off?
Mm-hmm.
Driving, if you live somewhere, I can travel a lot, but you say you live somewhere, just make a circle around your house, 30 minutes or 45-minute loop. And every bridge you drive over, you stop and look in. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I do. It may even look like it's nothing, but I've stopped at places that from the road looks like dried up creek.
Right.
You walk down to it. I got one of my best creeks. It looks like nothing. You can't even see it when you go over it because it's underneath this highway. Okay. And thousands of people drive over every day. It is loaded with little fish. It's not big fish, but it is amazing how many fish are in that little creek. It's probably like 3 foot deep at the most.
Wow.
But I'm trying places. There's a lot of apps. Far Wide.
Far Wide. Never heard of that one.
I think I got that one from Drew Gregory. The Georgia River Guide for Georgia. They got a new one.
All right.
I mean, the best thing to do. Before I use any apps, I go. If I say you find the river you want to fish, just type in that river and canoe access.
Canoe access is what you're looking for. That's
or just And most of the time, a lot of times there's canoe trails or guide services that intertube or float these little places. I still find them all the time. I'm like, how have I not fished that one? Because there's so many of them. A lot of
canoe liveries and stuff like that where they're tubing, but you can also put in for fishing.
All right. I get a lot of those that drop me off. On off day or days where there's not a million people floating, or maybe like as soon as school starts back up, or before like it gets really warm. Try to hit those places before a lot of people are going down them. But I mean, I've fished with thousands of people floating down, and you're still catching fish downstream. So that doesn't really bother the fish. Fish don't really care about that.
Do you find the hunt and the searching just as fun as the fishing?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. That's what I like about the catching fish in smaller areas. It is more of like I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to find this. Every time I find a new place to go, if I just catch a fish there, it's something cool. Like it may be a 12-inch smallmouth, but I'm like, I caught a 12-inch smallmouth at a brand new place I never fished before. Don't know anything about. I just showed up and fished it, and there's a fish here.
Right.
And then
you start following it, right? How far does this thing go? Does it open up? Does it get bigger? And then you're looking for other accesses, or how far can I walk this mother and catch whatever I can up there?
Then you start kayaking these places, and you realize they go through farms and behind houses and around gorges and bluffs that you wouldn't even realize are there. You get to see all kinds of cool stuff that no one's really ever seeing. Fishing and I always say creeks and rivers are the least pressured fish you're ever going to fish for. And because that's why I don't like lake fishing. Lake fishing, I feel like everybody's just going through, catching them. I want to go somewhere, even if the fish are smaller, I want to go somewhere where they're truly wild, not used to people, and just more aggressive most of the time.
Yeah, it takes more work to do what you do. It really does. It takes a lot of, you say you fly by the seat of your pants, but in order to plan the float and go check it out and, potentially bomb because it's not what you thought it was, or water's down or whatever it is, it's quite a bit of work. But after a while, you've dialed in such a Rolodex of places.
I have so many good places. I don't fish them more than once every month or 2 months. Like, I would rather go fish something brand new, knowing nothing about it, than going back to a place that I feel like is a really good spot. I fished this summer. I actually went to I had a stretch where I went to 3 or 4 new places, and it was horrible. They were some of the worst places I've ever been. Me and Alex, I said, hey, let's go fish this river. I just, found these spots. Don't know anything about it. We went there. we caught like 2 fish in a whole float. It was the most dead river I'd ever been.
That's brutal.
And I talked to a bunch of people later about it, and they were like, yeah, there's just like no life in that river. It was crazy. I'm like, there was no birds, no turtles, like barely any fish. But it's a story. It's something I've learned. It's another river I've checked off that I know about. So something to add to the catalog.
Is there something to that river where you found out in the research afterwards, like, hey, this is polluted or it's just dead?
I don't really know because I know I haven't found out a lot more. It is a little higher elevation, comes out of the plateau, so that could have something to do with it. But there's a creek that flows into that river further downstream. That's really good. They say downstream is a lot better than the section we went through, but yeah, I don't know there. But every stream is different. We have a variety of creeks and streams, and almost none of them are the same. They all have different things. Different species live in there. We have smallmouth, spots, and largemouth creeks, and some have all three. Some have just one of them. Some streams come out of the higher elevation where they don't really have a lot of species because water drops so fast. Maybe it dries up some more. So there's I don't know. That's what I like about exploring. I like just learning everything I can about every different kind of stream there is.
Do you ever straight up knock on people's houses? Be like, hey, knock, knock, knock. I'd love to access this part and I can't. Do I have your permission?
Only a couple times. I don't usually, because a lot of times there's a place in my town that I've done where there's a I drove by, and only when the leaves are gone you can see this old mill and like a spillway from an old mill. So it's at a farm. It took me 3 times stopping there to finally get somebody home, and they let me go fish it. I fished it a couple times. It's a really cool little place.
Oh, nice.
It's in a cow field. They're like, watch out for the bulls, but yeah, go ahead. But
they don't care.
Is
it awkward transaction when you're asking them, and they're like, hey, we get asked from time to time. It's not weird.
No, I don't think they'd ever been asked because it's a pretty small creek. But I don't know. I used to do heating and air, and I'm used to going up to people's houses and like talking, like knocking on the door, talking to them. So to me, that kind of part is pretty, not a big deal. I don't mind stopping and knocking and talking to somebody. But the places that are further away, I don't really do that because it's hard to plan it. A lot of times I'm only there 1 or 2 days. I might find a creek that I wish I could fish, but you'd have to kind of plan it out and then ask them, hey, can I come back in 2 months and fish? But so
yeah, I hear you. What's another question you get often outside of, hey, tell me your honey hole? More tactical.
A lot of times people want to know what line. I feel like that, like what line and what rod and reel. And I'm the same way when I see other people. I'm just kind of curious what they're using.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is I don't know what the phrase is. There's so many ways to skin a cat. Same thing with fishing. Like what I think works for me might not work for somebody else. But I do have a few ways that I feel like I have dialed in that I think are really good ways to catch fish in certain creeks. And then, of course, I have a lot of light and ultralight stuff that I play with. I got 2-pound line, 4-pound line. I got 6-pound braid or 10-pound braid. So there's a lot of different setups you can use. And sometimes when I'm throwing really small lures, that's when people are like, "How are you throwing that little trout magnet?"
Right.
I might
how are you getting distance on it, right?
Yeah, I might have 2-pound line on that, and they'll be able to get it out far enough. So I try to tell what I'm using. Sometimes I do, but most of the time it's whatever you get comfortable with and whatever you learn to dial in. Because what I thought 2 years ago is different a lot of times than what I do now. So I feel like it's always changing how I feel about certain knots or certain line strength or what kind of rod I want. So.
No, I hear you. And sometimes people ask me questions like, "Hey, I use this unconventionally, just to let you know, but it works for me." Yeah. Like if you told the masses that I do this particular thing with this particular lure and fish it in this way, they would scratch their head to be like, "That's not normal." I'm like, that's fine. I don't need to be normal. I just needs to be, I just need to have confidence in it, which I do because obviously I keep using it in that way. So interesting. All right. What's the number one question you get as a content creator? Not necessarily an angler. Because I have people all the time. And I would imagine with someone with 175,000 subs, and I'm sure millions upon millions of views, you get people who are like, hey, how did you do it? What's the number one question you get there?
The number one complaint is everybody thinks I treat the fish too hard.
Really?
I wish you'd be more gentle with those fish.
I mean, is it just because you're unhooking them and tossing them back in the water?
Yeah.
Most
of the time because I'm standing up, just tossing it. And then I'll like, but the thing is like, well, you treated that fish gentle. If I treat a fish gentle, it's because I'm trying to get a video of it. Other than that, I'm just like, just tossing it back in the water. And people think that hurts the fish. That's the problem. That's the biggest misconception. People think that tossing a fish in the water from, 3-foot drop into the water is hurting them, which is not. So I'm like, I like, and that's always funny. It's hard to come back to them because I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but I'm like, I've talked to biologists and fishermen from all over the world, and they all say it's fine, and they say it's actually good to toss the fish back in.
All right.
So that's always a funny. I'm like people, and also I'm like, it's a fish. I don't want to treat a fish so like a person. A fish is a fish, and I'm not trying to like humanize it or whatever.
Yeah, you're not trying to hurt it, but you're also you're not. I don't need to pet the thing, and
if it does die or if I do gut hook it, I'm not crying about it. It's a fish. It happens. Things like that. That's when we fish. Things like that happen. I'm not trying to make it happen, but if it does happen, it's not the end of the world.
All right.
I don't know what people about. I can't think of something right now. They usually just ask what camera you're using. I run GoPros mostly.
Okay.
And I use my phone a lot. So anything, I use my phone quite a bit for different things that people don't realize you can use. iPhones nowadays, I got like a 14. I need to upgrade to that new one, but I can do so much on my iPhone. It gets really good quality. It's there. I have like a bigger camera, but I don't ever take it anymore because it might get a little bit better quality on certain shots, but I have my phone ready to go and I get a lot more video from it because it's there.
Yeah, I hear you. Switching gears for you. Ever dump your kayak in the river or the creek? You said that real quick, like it happened more than once.
2.5 times. I got a half turn.
What do you mean at 2.5 times?
I got one where it turned halfway over, but I stepped out and caught it before everything fell over. I lost a couple of things. But I got scared on the first time it was my first river float, and it was real dumb, and a guy sorry I'm coughing so much I don't know, I do it every winter. I gotta figure this out, but the guy in front of me had got hung up and his rods were sticking out of his kayak, and they got hung in a bush, and it wasn't really a fast area, but it was kind of like just a quick little like run through, like a little current, and so I'm already behind him, and I couldn't stop because I was like kind of behind him. So I turned sideways into him, and then the current hits you. I put my hand up to trying to catch myself, and my kayak flips over. I pop up, and I'm surfing basically in like 3 foot of water, but the current was real strong, and my hand was stuck in a hook, which is in the lure. His lure got caught in the tree.
Oh, amazing!
So and it was on braid. I kept jerking. I'm like, why is my hand stuck? I couldn't figure it out. So I like reach over, grab a pocket knife, cut the braid, and get
could have been
loose.
troublesome if you didn't have that knife on you.
Probably more painful. Like nobody could get to me. It was just like a swift little area, but you know how the current's so strong. It was only like 3 foot deep, but it's a good thing I wasn't like under the water. So that's where I got nervous, but I would have been scared. But the second time it happened, where I like really kind of scared me a little bit, was I put in on a river I'd never fished before. I thought it was gonna be fine, but the water was up. I get into these huge waves. It just like sucks me in. Like that current just, I was like, for half a second, I'm like, oh, I need to get to the bank. I was like, no, there's no getting to the bank. That current just like funneled down
and it's rolling
really quick. I go through the waves. Like basically I'm like cutting through them. So I was in the shoalie and my kayak's like underwater for a second. Yeah. I pop back up. I'm like, oh, I made it. I hit another one. And at the same time, there was like a little current coming in from the side. And that little side current just pushed me right over. And I went under. I didn't hit the bottom, It was deep,
Oh,
and that water
deep.
was just ripping. I pop up. I have 2 fishing poles in this hand. I have the kayak over here on the side, and I'm like, I just start kicking my feet, trying to get to the side. I'm like, if I don't get to the side, there's like this long run that I'm just going to flow for a long time.
Right.
Thankfully, I got over to the side, found most of my stuff, lost a couple things, but that one was like, that was a scary moment just because that power of the water is just crazy. It just has control of you. You can't do nothing.
And even when it's like 3 feet, people underestimate just the power of water. And that the first story you shared is interesting, right? Because usually if one thing happens, not a big deal. It's when it starts cascading. Like, okay, you flipped over, big deal. However, you flipped over and you got your hand caught in a hook. It's up in a tree, also connected on braid. Right now, you're in trouble. If you didn't have a knife on, that could have been a pretty painful for you. And so it's wild when issues like that have a tendency to cascade quickly, and that's where people really get themselves in trouble. And so it's not, a lot of people always say, I don't wear my personal flotation device. I'm a great swimmer. Well, it's usually not just that. It's that combined with cold, combined with some other random thing and it usually happens really quick, all in succession, and that's when you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, you're not going to flip in I wear any river float. If it's flowing water, I wear my life jacket. I pretty much wear it all the time. And I'm not like a guy that says, I'm like, you should, you do whatever you want to do. But like, if it's a float, I just know that even if it looks like it's not very deep, you're right. You're not going to flip in an area where everything's fine. You're going to flip in an area where multiple things are going on, and it can get chaos really quick. It could be rocks, or it could be wood strainers. That's my biggest fear is like, I've come across, trees that are like a strainer where like, that's scary if the water flowing really good. Yeah. Cause like, you don't want it to suck you under it. You don't know what's under there.
Right.
Can you pop out into the side? So, river floats and creeks you need some experience, and you always got to be paying attention. You always have to be looking ahead and always don't get yourself turned around or in a bad situation. Always, be ready for anything that could come up.
Yeah, 100%. If you ever go out, do you recommend going out second time with someone who's been doing it often?
I don't like doing river floats by myself at all, really.
Okay.
Anything could happen. Say your kayak gets a hole in it and you're stuck 5 miles from the road. I don't know. Yeah. So most of the time I'll do one every once in a while. But I really don't prefer to do it. I like to go with somebody if I can make it happen.
When I travel down there, I got an end date. People have been hearing me talk about it. I've actually shared the end date as far as when I'm going to
I heard this.
resign from my job and go full time. But whenever that happens, I plan on going on a collab run where I'm just traveling and fishing with all the guys that I've had on the podcast and just doing a big old circuit. And I'll be down your way. Me, you, and Rudd can get out there, and you can take me to. I'll sign an NDA, and you can take me to your honeyest hole, and we can just slay them. That sounds like a good time.
Good.
Sounds like a good time. Is there? What's the? No, I'm sure you catch, of course, trout, rock bass, green sunfish, bluegill, suckers, bass. Is there a fish that you're after? You're like, I haven't quite caught it yet, or I've only caught a few of them, but it is a real treat when you catch them.
I want to catch a snakehead of some kind. I haven't caught any of those.
Never caught one.
Yeah.
We got them up here in my lakes. You catch them sometimes, and it's like, wow, the fight.
Yeah.
It's wild. Actually, not snakehead, a bowfin. Okay, those are.
I've caught bowfin. I do like bowfin.
Those are more down south, the snakeheads. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, snakeheads. There's some in Virginia, and then there's some up north further, and then there's the ones in Florida that are different. They're northern and the southern. But I like bowfin, but we don't really have bowfin around me. I have to drive pretty far to catch those. But those, I think they're kind of cool, just because I don't catch them very often.
Sure. Is there a fish you're after? You're like, hey, I've never caught one before. A one.
I can't think of anything right now that I'm like. It's usually just about what rivers I haven't fished yet.
All right.
What places I haven't gone. Where can I go next? I'm all about just going to as many new places as I can get to.
Do you ever live bait fish, or are you a full artificial guy?
No, I mean I will. I haven't done as much as I used to. I'll use worms a lot. Or used to use the worms a lot just for if I want an easy day of just bank fishing. I'll go throw out some worms. You never know what you're going to catch there. Especially some of these little creeks, they could catch 6-7 different species of fish on a worm. I've used the minnows a few times. I got an idea for a trip I want to do with and I got this net I just got somebody gave to me that I want to float on my kayak with like gizzard shad, like those bigger ones that they sell them at the store. Like buy some bigger ones and float some of these rivers with those things and see what comes out and hits them.
Get a giant.
It'd be kind of hard to do, but
I
think it'd be interesting if it worked out.
All right, sounds like a good time. What's a question? We're at an hour. It always goes by fast when you're having some good conversation. So if you have a question for John, feel free to throw that in the comment section. We'll finish out on our time there. But what's the question that people should be asking you about creek fishing, but you never get and you're surprised?
Good question there. That's the question right there, that one. What should people ask?
Why aren't people asking me this? This is like, you're surprised because it's like, man, this is the equation that really helped me, but no one ever asks.
I don't know. I always wonder why more YouTubers don't do river and like creek floats. Because for content and just for fun, like it's the most fun. I feel like I have more fun on that than about anything I do. It's always it's a trip. It's always going to be a fun adventure. So a lot of times I don't know why more people don't do it. And I think once people do get into it, they realize how fun it is. And like Southern Flow, that dude, he's got some places in Middle Tennessee we fish, and there's just the most beautiful water. And I'm like, why do not more people do this? Not that I want everybody out there doing it, but I just still think people don't understand how enjoyable it is. I don't know what a question would be that to do it more or to help it do it.
No, I'm just curious. You're like, hey, is there a technique or something you do obviously all the time? You just wondered. No one asked me about this, but it is something that chew on that. When I have you back on the show, you might have an answer for me. But
yeah,
I'm curious. How do you balance creating content with really enjoying like fishing? Because like sometimes I'm out there like, okay, I got to get a video done today.
I try not to let it bother me as far as that. I tried. I've definitely come to terms with some days just not gonna have any content from that day. It's gonna be a wasted day of content, but just another day out there doing something that I enjoy doing. I don't put too much pressure on. I'm not a morning person, so I'm not trying to be at the ramp at the crack of dawn. I get there when I get there. I do it on my own terms. I fish what I want to fish. I'm not trying to catch the biggest fish in the world. I'm just trying to have fun that day.
Yeah.
So this is when I first started, especially when I went full time. I set some things up. I'm like, look, I'm going to do this the way I want to do it, the way I enjoy it, and I'm not trying to do it for anybody else. I'm just trying to do it how I want to see videos and how I enjoy doing it. And I've been able to keep doing that, and luckily, some people watch, so it's still working. But I still do the things that I want to do. Like, that's why I barely lake fish. We got some really good lakes around here, but I'm like, I just don't enjoy doing that much. There's other things I'd rather do.
Yeah,
so making it, and I feel like
doing it.
I feel like too many people try to please other people, especially content creators. They're small or starting out, and they're like, "Oh, this is what people want to see." Like, don't worry what people want to see. Do what you love doing, and you'll find people that enjoy that. Because if you love it, you'll find other people that enjoy watching what you love to do. You don't want to watch somebody that does something that's like, "Oh, this is boring," but I'm catching 10 pounders. You'd rather it's more fun to watch somebody having a blast catching 2-pounders, but they're having a fun time doing it.
I even have a good time like putting together a fish finder video. I know it sounds weird, but I enjoy it because I'm learning in the process. Like,
Mhm.
hey, if this was genuinely an increasing my experience and understanding of the sport, hopefully it is to someone else as well. So, I mean, to each his own, 100%. Got a couple questions here coming in from Whiskey. Let's go up here. Bass Raft. John, are you going to make your way to St. Cloud for the Kayak Adventure Series?
Is that the one in like upper Wisconsin?
Yeah.
I think so. Up there where
That's up there, man.
Yeah, that's that one up there. I talked to who was the guy that won? I think it was the guy that won the one in Wisconsin. He was telling me about it, and then Bass Raft was telling me. I don't know. I would love to do that one. I've heard that area is like insane and like some big old smallmouth. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know yet. That's the ways
ask him
off.
2 months before it starts, and then he starts making decisions.
Ask him about a week before, maybe.
Yeah, 1 week. He'll be there a half hour late, so no one's going to be at any of his access points. It's going to be good. Southern Flow, we were just talking about him. I'm going to add him to my circuit whenever I go full time here. His question to you: what has been your favorite state to fish in?
Other than Tennessee, it's any new state really. It's always the next one. I'm just excited about the next. The surprising, I guess, is Arkansas.
Ohio.
Like going through upper Arkansas, there's just so many amazing streams and creeks that are just beautiful, just gorges. You're rolling through these gorges in the what's that mountain range called? I can't think of what it's called, and then there's just like crystal clear creek after crystal clear creek, and that Arkansas is the upper Arkansas is probably it's got some of it looks like Tennessee, and that's what I've learned, that everywhere I've been there's a little bit that looks like home. So there's always something that looks similar to where I've been, but that, and then the Texas Hill Country, I'd love to go back there. I only went there one time, but that was really, really cool. It's like some super clear spring fed streams that are like out in the middle of nowhere, and you wouldn't even think that Texas has stuff like that.
Interesting. Do you ever get invited by a lot of your subscribers and channel members, like, hey, anytime you come out here and go fishing with me type of deal? You get that often?
Yeah, too much, I'd say.
Too much.
I can't do it. I get that all the time, and I hate turning people down. I hate disappointing people, so I stopped replying to people that ask me stuff like that because I'm never gonna get to them. I don't. And every once in a while, it works out. I can fish with somebody, but most of the time, what I enjoy doing when I travel is just being, like I said, very random and just sporadic, and just like. This is what I found. I've found so many good places just driving, and then I look over. I just drive over. I'm going down the interstate. Maybe I look over. I'm like, oh, look at that creek. Get off that exit. Find out what creek that is. Find an access. Fish it that day. Have an amazing day. One of the best creeks I ever found is in going up to Susquehanna in Virginia. There's this creek. I looked over and saw it, and I always plan extra time to be able to stop. So I pulled over, stopped, fished it. Caught like 30 smallmouth bass in like an hour and a half.
Jeez.
So being able to do that has allowed me, and those are my most fun, when I just find somewhere brand new and just decide to fish it that day. But that's where it's hard to meet it with people, because a lot of times when you meet with people, you meet with them, then you go fish with them. Maybe you don't catch that many fish, or maybe whatever. And it's like, well, I just kind of wasted time that I could be doing something else. So it's hard, and there's so many people that I get asked that. It's hard to. I can't meet up with everybody, or I wouldn't be able to fish.
No, I hear you. Whiskey BS said, "Do you always fish out of a yak on a float, or do you beach it and wade fish sometimes?" I know the answer to this, but he wants to know.
Yeah, I mean, I get out a lot. It all depends on the stream. There's creeks around. There's some streams around me that there's no place to get out and wade because the fish are so spread out. There's not like a good spot. And then I got a couple of streams that are like, you can just wade the whole thing. So every body of water is different. And I talk to guys like the creek crawler, and the guys that fish the Little Miami and stuff. They can pick apart that river. There's like, so many places where I have rivers by me. We can do 5 miles, and you might go through a mile section and there's nothing. It's just like a shallow run. And then you get to an area where you catch a fish. You catch a couple, and that's it. and you got to move on.
Oh, wow.
And then there's some streams like more like Middle Tennessee area where you can get out and fish those deep holes because there's a bunch of fish in there. So it really depends.
Yeah.
I definitely like getting out. I love getting out and standing. Catching a fish, standing in the water is one of the most fun ways to catch a fish because you're right there with it. You're in its home, and you feel the power of it pulling straight to you. You can see it. You're watching it swim around. So I feel like that's the best way to catch a fish, standing in the water like with it.
Yeah, I like it. Quick Crawler had a couple comments here when we're talking about, hey, I think when you schedule it, back to this conversation, it could become a job really fast. I felt that way a couple times as a content creator himself. I get that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just feel like you need to stay on schedule, and that's the pull, right? I'm glad you're able to find out for yourself what works, and it's something it's very natural to who you are. It's probably one of the reasons you're so successful is because it's obvious you aren't faking it because you're not really doing it. I remember having you on years ago and you were like, hey, if people like it, then people like it. People don't like it, then I need to go back and be an HVAC tech. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah. I'm just going to be true to myself. And I think when you're true to yourself on places and platforms like YouTube, it's extremely authentic and you build your tribe around that. And so tip my hat to you. If you weren't on at the beginning of the show, we talked about a new lure that you and Ethan over at Mule Fishing put together, the Bluegrass Bug. Go check that out at mulefishing.com. It's pretty awesome. Or go to the beginning of this video and watch it over again. If you hadn't hit the like button yet, please help me out. Hit that. If you're listening in from the podcast, please leave a review. Love to hear that. And of course, Creek, where can they find you?
Creek Fishing Adventures, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Boom.
Pretty simple. Yep.
There you go. Well, John, thank you so much. I look forward to the day where we can cruise down the creek together.
Yep.
Give me a year or so. I'll reach out and we'll have a collab video going on. But grateful for your time. Grateful for you. Keep doing what you're doing. And you'll continue to see the massive success that you already have been seeing. So well done, brother. And you have a good one. Everyone else, thank you so much for listening in. I will see you next Tuesday as I have the bearded paddler on. We're going to be talking kayaks. It's going to be a good time on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. Thanks, everyone. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.